Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, you are welcome to Lima, Peru once again. It is such a pleasure to have you in this very special day for us Peruvians. Today, we celebrate the Independence Proclamation that happened a long time ago in the year 1821. It was July 28th at noon also at the main square of Lima, after being done in 3 other squares in the city. During that morning, the final proclamation was at the main square of the city, done by an Argentinian. This Argentinian man is also celebrated as one of the most important fighters for the independences of South America, Jose de San Martin, with Simon Bolivar or Simon Bolivar. Probably you've heard about him before. They are both considered two of the most important fathers of the independences of, well, this part of the world. So, well, thank you so much for joining. And today we have a program dedicated to the connections between, Peru, the colonial Peru, Colonial Lima in particular. We're going to revise more the case of Lima, of the capital of Peru, because it's really a wonderful example of syncretism, of cultural fusion and coexistence. I will explain later why Lima. And also this story that I will be developing today will really connect this very distant part from Europe, because we're in South America, with what happened before the conquest of the Spanish, what happened before the discovering of the New World in that year 1492, when Christopher Colon or Christopher Columbus will discover the so-called island of La Española back then. So, we are going to discover that together. People are joining. It is wonderful to have the also this big group, full house in a way. And I have been preparing this event for a long time, so I hope you find it educational. So before we begin, once again, we're celebrating the independence of Peru today. This is my way of honoring also the independence process, because we cannot understand who Peru is, what Peru is as a country, without talking about the colonial times. Some people say, like, Vanessa, but what is the relation? Like, that happened before the independence. Yes, but the person you are as an adult, there's a big repercussion in that person, your childhood years, no, the beginning, your story before. So if you have questions, please use the chat. Here you can see the chat is activated. You can use the chat during the event. There's no problem. Hi, Marilyn. Hi, thanks for leaving a message. Well, thank you so much for that beautiful, let's say, like a cheer for the independence of Peru. You can use the chat. Please, if you can, just as a little test, let's use it. You can send anything you wish. I just want to know if it's functioning, if it's working, okay? Also, you can see that there is, if you have let's say the latest update of Zoom, you have a closed caption section. So if it's maybe my voice is not so loud, or you prefer just to lower the volume, you can also follow what I'm saying on closed captions. So I am just admitting the last group of people joining, and we are about to begin, okay? So let's proceed to share screen, and we will be also starting. Okay. Okay, amigos. So can you see the screen? Please let me know if you're able to see what I'm projecting. Also, this event is being recorded, so it's going to be available for some time after the end of this event in my YouTube channel, okay? So to make things easier, oh, sorry, I have to come out again. The screen, I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what I cannot. Okay, so I will turn off my camera. So in that way, I will have a better, okay, so we'll have a better strength for the projection of today's event. Okay, so well, I think we are 10 already. So let's start with this activity. So let's see here and here. Okay. So before we start, well, once again, thanks a lot for joining. Today's event is named Coexistence in Colonial Peru, and we will uncover its ties to medieval Spain. What is the relation between these two different stories that occur in different times? So Peru, for probably most of you already know a bit about the location of the country, but if you are completely new to Peru or to our location, well, here we are. Peru is a really, really big country. It is a country that is located close to the equator in South America. Lima, for example, my city, is about 12 degrees or, below the equator, latitude 12 south the equator. So Peru is also very distant from Europe, as you can see, way more distant than many countries in South America. This is very important for the story also today because, for example, Brazil, which also is in South America, the trip from Brazil to Portugal was way much shorter back in the colonial times in the 16th, 17th, 18th century, because you had to just cross one sea, one portion of the, let's say, Atlantic. But well, for us, it was crossing not just the Atlantic, also it was crossing part of the Pacific and then connecting with the Atlantic. No, so can you imagine that? No, that is really incredible, incredible. So we will also, oh, there is people joining here, so let me well, accept them. Also, just give me a second. We'll try to accept people joining, and my apologies for the interruption. So I'm, of course, not willing to not allow people coming. I know what's Peruvian time. So hello, welcome, 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 amigos, to this event. We will continue, we will proceed also with it. You can also leave any questions, oh, there's more people coming. Okay, any questions in the chat, okay? So let's do it here. Sorry, here. Oh. Very good. I think we are all together here. Okay. Well, sorry for the interruption. I'm just learning to use the Zoom in a more professional way. So once again, we were discussing about the connections between Peru and Spain. Peru is over 2 times bigger than Spain. And curiously enough as well, geographically, there are some interesting coincidences. between these two lands. For example, geographically talking, Peru has, well, three regions. We have the coast, we have the Andes, and we have the rainforest, the jungle, the Amazon, okay? Well, Spain also topographically is very diverse. You have a southern section that is, like a very warm, close to the Mediterranean. You have a northern part that is much colder, of course. We have also, well, in that part of the world, there's a mountain. There are a couple of mountain ranges that are very important as well. So meaning that the territories are really diverse. And this will be important for the process of the arrival of the conquistadors into this location, right? So we have also a history in both parts of the world that dates back to ancient times, and the history of the Iberic Peninsula. Let's go first with the Iberic Peninsula. Dates back to pre-Roman times, the Greeks, and then the Romans, and the Visigoths, and also the Moors, which really makes room to what in Spain is called the coexistence, the coexistence in Spain. The coexistence in Spain is related with this period in the history of the Iberic Peninsula in which three different religions coexisted, different cultures coexisted, which is fascinating. And gave also room to very unique elements in the culture of Spain nowadays. We had also our own quote of that. We have, for example, the history before the Spanish. So you can see over here, the history before the Spanish is very long, is very, how can I say also, it has its own colors. It is related with the different geographies of the country as well. The oldest civilization of the Americas, for example, is a local civilization that was born in the Peruvian coast, Caral, dates back to 5,000 years ago. So I'm trying just to even a little bit more the spaces we are talking in terms of culture. These are places with ancient societies, and ancient traditions and ancient religions, and also different ethnicities. I will make a little parenthesis here. Admit one more person also, and let me know if you have a question about this. I see also there is a question. Oh, hi, Natalie. Not a question, just a hi. You can, of course, drop questions any minute, please, any time. So very good. Well, the history of the ancient Peru is marked by more important societies in terms of development and less important societies that were in different parts of the country. The importance, of course, is something that each one decides what is important and what is not. But for archaeologists, the societies that are important, for example, are the ones that influenced others, right? The ones that are related with the building of the sort of like the character, no, of the pre-Hispanic, let's say, culture of Peru. So we have a history that also is very ancient. And if we go to the end also of the line, this is, by the way, I'm referring basically to the green line, because I also additionally added here the post pre-Hispanic eras, no, of the viceroyalty, which is divided by the conquest and the establishing of the viceroyalties per se, and then the Republica, the independence, right? So you can see that at the end of this green line, the chronology, we have, well, this interesting and very important and very famous society, the Incan society, right? So the Incan society, amigos, is basically one of the most important cultures we have in South America, because they are not the oldest, just making very clear this statement. They are not the oldest culture. They are just the tip of the iceberg in terms of cultures in Peru. And Peru, well, Peru didn't exist in these old days. Peru didn't exist. Peru is a creation that starts in the colonial times and is consolidated in the independence. So here you can see, for example, Incas are the very last society, the unifiers, and we have also the, before them, other cultures, great cultures that were conquered by them, cultures from what we call the intermediate section of the history of this late intermediate, basically, no? And then we have also very old societies before the Incas. So these are probably the most important cultures, okay? I will be doing for sure an event about pre-Hispanic societies if you wish to know more. Now, this is not really something about, you know, a place to explain this, but probably for you, it's necessary to understand that this was a very rich land in terms of cultures before the conquest, okay? So here we have also another very interesting comparison, okay? This comparison we have here is between the stratifications of these two different worlds. What are the connections also in terms of the way how pre-Hispanic people saw their leaders, their monarchs, and the way how the Spanish, or well, let's say the people from the Iberic Peninsula, the medieval Spain times, saw their authorities. So these were highly, very sophisticated societies, in which, for example, in the case of the King of Spain, which is the authority, is the almighty absolute governor, have an equivalent in the Inca. The Inca was the leader of the, well, the Runasimi, the commons in the times of the, well, Incan Empire. Well, the Incas didn't call their land Inca Empire. They called their land Tawantinsuyo. The Tawantinsuyo was a territory that extended for 6 countries in total. We're talking about nowadays Ecuador, Colombia, Peru, Chile, Argentina, Bolivia. So it was a huge land. But below the Inca, and as well below the king, we have also a very important group. For the case of this is basically the feudal system in the medieval times in Europe. We have the dukes, the counts, the clergy of the highest level. So we can see, of course, that these dukes and counts could be also related with the king, could be even related by family, by blood. And we have also in the case of the Incas, the realeza, the family of the Inca. the direct family of the Inca, the Panacas. No? The Panacas are the relatives that also in these Panacas, the future Inca will emerge, right? We have also below that the nobility that could be by blood, that could be by privilege. And by the way, there used to be also a bigger possibility in the Incan stratification of social mobility. So there was a possibility of moving if you were not born like by in the blood, let's say like family of the Inca, okay? And then of course we have, well, the working class, we have the people, el pueblo, right? And in both stratifications, we have them clearly. So once again, another similarity, which is very interesting. Also important to mention that, well, the territory of Spain in the Americas eventually, turned massive. So the union of Spain with not just the Incan Empire, which clearly you can see also big part of what used to be the Tahuantinsuyo in South America became part of the Incas. And then later, it was annexed to Central America, to North America, to the Aztec Empire, even Spain at a point reached Asia and the islands and the peninsula of the Philippines, the archipelago, sorry, of the Philippines. And Africa, of course, they have an enclave there as well. Just give me a second. There's a person to be admitted. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. So once again, a little overlook of the Tahuantinsuyo and its territory in South America. Okay. Now we're going to another interesting topic. Interesting in my opinion, because, well, the way how we build our cities nowadays in Peru, it has a very strong influence of the Spanish tradition, building of cities in the Spanish way, in the Spanish ways. Also, a little reminder about the size, the dimension of the Tahuantinsuyo. Well, it is believed that the Tahuantinsuyo, the size of the Tahuantinsuyo was 2 million square kilometers. And it was so well, let's say, designed and distributed and connected efficiently enough for the Spanish ones here, the conquistadors ones here, to annex quite easily the territory. Okay. But the Spanish ones in this territory, they of course needed to make it theirs. They needed to create cities. They needed to establish capitals. The history of the conquest of Peru is itself very interesting. I am planning very soon to take you to the historic center of Lima on a walking tour to learn more about the history of the conquest of Peru and the establishing of the city of Lima. But that will be walking in the streets of the historic center. Okay, so that will be in another occasion. This is the way how the conquistadors saw the cities they found here in the country. And to be more precise, because this image is not a city in the Andes, this is an image of a city in the coast. The Spanish didn't penetrate much in the jungle, in the rainforest. Well, that territory had also its own cities, its own tradition, architectural tradition, but they were more present in the coast and the Andes. So this is a possible recreation of an Incan city, or let's say contemporary to the Incas city of the coast. This is probably the way how Lima looked like before the arrival of the conquistadors. But there are a lot of debates about if the historic center of Lima looked like this or not. Sadly, we don't have any descriptions from the conquistadors, but archaeologists believe indeed that the cities in the coast look like this. So what we have here is a very, first of all, very organic design with the use of the advanced technologies of the indigenous. Construction of aqueducts were like everywhere in the coast. And the aqueducts were the ones that allowed the coast of Peru to be green, because Lima, for example, is the second largest city in the world built on a desert. Okay, so if you wanted to live in the coast of Peru, you need to be adapted to the desert. You needed to know and to understand the desert. So these ancient societies that live here for thousands of years in such conditions, they made the desert coast green, thanks to the rivers. Also, because we don't have rain, the temples and the houses the Spanish saw here were made of mud bricks. There were also central plazas that were used for ritual purposes, for ritualistic, for religious purposes. Okay, so we definitely don't continue that tradition. And you can see also, well, these pyramid style constructions here. But in the Andes, this is another city. And well, maybe some of you have been to Cusco, to the city of Cusco, or know someone that has been in Cusco, or maybe you've done it virtually. Maybe you have visited Machu Picchu virtually, or the city of Cusco virtually. Well, my friends, this is the city of Cusco, and you can see here, well, this interesting comparison of the shape of Cusco with the shape of a puma. It is believed by some chronicles and documents, colonial documents, that the cities had some shapes that were shaped according to, for example, the ways how the gods, certain gods look like, and that the city of Cusco, its original layout was the layout or the design of a puma, right? And the head of the puma is Sacsayhuaman, by the way. So, well, we don't see a grid pattern here. We don't see the spaces for markets. We see a more ritual design related with this intention in the Andes, especially, of copying the gods or the images in the sky, because the idea is to create duality. And what are those images in the skies? Well, the pre-Hispanic societies, they worship the dark constellations, So the figures in the sky that are formed by, the darkness, right? So, which is really incredible. They were very unique in that sense. But now we go to a layout that is more really, what can I say, like more familiar to us, more familiar to our, what we consider, Peruvians consider the city, a city pattern. And that pattern goes back to ancient Roman times, to the Roman cities. So we have to also find, for example, in number one, first thing we have to do in this map I am sharing with you is that the cities, the Roman cities, have always two main streets, like crossing of the city, one from north to south, the other from east to west. So these avenues, they have their own names. You have the Cardo and the Cumanus, main streets in the cities. And in the intersection of these two cities, there is a plaza that it is named the photo. And this photo is also space for important events, for different affairs, right? It is a space also where the basilicas, the temples are located, right? The shops are located. Isn't this something that describe how nowadays the main squares in any Latin American city uh, is or looks like, right? And here, for example, I offer you the case of the city of Panama, Panama City, which clearly also offers us this idea of the intersection of these two streets, the Cardo and the Decumanum, and the main plaza in the middle. Okay. I want to check also, I think there is a couple of questions and I don't want to go any further without answering them. Also, sorry for the little gaps and moments in which we had to stop for. I think there's also an internet issue. I hope it's not. Let me know if you are seeing also everything smoothly, please. So Astrid also commented, thanks for joining. Muchas gracias. Peru has so many connections. Oh, Spain, sorry, has so many connections to Peru. Oh, yes, indeed. Indeed, my friend. And also commented, yes, with Cusco Machu Picchu. Oh, that's wonderful with World Virtual Tours. See, Jimmy is a wonderful guy. I've heard a lot about him. I haven't been in one of his tours, but please, amigos, if you can also do one of the tours with World Virtual Tours, do it. And also, I'm very happy to say that I've been invited to also join them and do some collaborations also with that platform. So I'm very happy also to be part of the family. How are the Incas on top of the pyramid in ruling? Oh, well, very, very good question. I didn't really probably explain it on time, but let me say it just briefly. Well, the word Inca is a big misunderstanding, okay? The word Inca is a big misunderstanding. Let's go back also to the explanation, I think. Oh, thank you, Natalie. Natalie commenting that she's happy that I'm joining also the tours of World Virtual Tours, and I am super excited as well. So let's go back for a moment to that pyramid. Okay, so I think this is the one being commented. And why I'm saying this, the word Inca is a big mistake, because we generalize like Inca for pretty much any type of, like is the culture, Inca is the culture, Inca is the king, right? Which, by the way, the king was not just a king. I think that the Sapa Inca, which is probably a more proper way of naming the Inca king, the Sapa Inca, was like 3% in one. If we compare, for example, the medieval times, let's say stratification, right, pyramid, is like 3% in one, because we have also, like in this medieval times, let's say stratification, we have the king on top. To be king, by the way, you have to be designated by the Vatican. But also you have another important character, which is the, say, the Pope, right? The Pope is the head of the church, right? And of course, another very important on top, of course, of the king and the Pope, which is, well, the divine figure of Jesus Christ, for Christianity, Jesus, the Son of God. Well, the Sapa Inca, the king of the Incas, was those 3 persons in one, because the Sapa Inca was the son of the sun, and therefore the son of God, was the sort of like the head of the church, and as well was the ruler of the people. So imagine the importance of the Inca. The Inca king, the Sapa Inca. When the Spanish came, they started to name everyone Incas. So they are the ones that bring to Europe this perception in their chronicles, especially because they start naming us all Incas, and therefore the culture Inca. So and that's how well this happened. No? I hope this helps to understand better the situation. Thank you so much for that question, by the way. And don't be shy with your questions, amigos. I'm happy to answer any doubt you have. Okay. Muy bien. This is another pattern, very important. This is also another cultural element from the Iberic Peninsula that was brought into Peru. And for most of you, probably you already noticed what is the origin of this layut. If you know words like, for example, moro, morisco, probably you understand that this layut you see here is the one of the Islamic cities in the Iberic Peninsula. When I started to investigate about the Islamic history of Spain, or basically Iberic Peninsula, because Spain didn't existed in the way how we know it nowadays, back in the, well, since the invasions of the Arabs to the Iberic Peninsula around the year 711, until the expulsion of the Moors from Spain, and basically before that the conquering of Granada, the last let's say Islamic kingdom in the Iberic Peninsula in the year, by the way, 1492, same year of the discovering of the New World, same year of the expulsion of the Jews from the Iberic Peninsula, from Spain, after the reconquest, of course, of these territories. Well, we definitely have to understand that that old tradition of 800 years in that territory had to come somehow to the New World. Look at the style, the way how the cities were. This is also an example of a city in Spain with this very, very interesting style. So there you have the, well, not checkerboard, of course. It's sort of like a labyrinthic design. It's a labyrinthic design. Well, the city of Cordoba is located in the south of Spain. Is one of the last cities also that were introduced into, or reconquer, I think the word more proper would be reconquest, by the Spanish, had also a separated neighborhood for the Jewish. Okay, look at this. The section, the pinkish section with stripes in the yellow part of the city, which had also a wall, keep that in mind also, is what was called the Juderia, or the space for the Jews. Okay, keep that in mind, please. We also have in that other section of the city, which was not walled, but still be part of the city, the section of the Mozárabes. What are the Mozárabes in the, well, in the let's say Islamic cities in the Iberic Peninsula? The Mozárabes were Christians who lived in Muslim cities. So they were Christians. They were not, let's say, practicing of the Islam, not at all. And they were under rule of the Islamic leaders, right? So, well, let's continue to this other layut. Once again, we're in Lima in the colonial times. And look at this. Now we have a city that is not a checkerboard, a city that has streets that are, like very organic, following probably like rivers or channels created by these indigenous people in the city for hundreds of years also of occupation before the Spanish. Temples spread over also everywhere, right? So this is how the city Layut was. Not a checkerboard at all, not a grid pattern at all. This is the original design for Lima when the Spanish came. The Spanish established the city of Lima in 1535, January 18, and they immediately decided to turn it into a grid pattern city. This checkerboard that you see there. The size of Lima originally was, well, 9 blocks, like wide, 13 long. In total, 117 blocks was the first design for the city. You can see also that the main square is not in the center, but there are also streets like the Cardo and the Cumanus also that still exist nowadays, which is, well, the street that is right next to the main square of Lima, right? On the left, that is nowadays the Girón de la Unión, the Union Street. It still exists, by the way. And also the one on top, the main square of Lima. Well, that one is also another important street of the city, and is where the house of the president of Peru is located, right? The palace of the government, okay? So look at this now. Well, sorry, I will admit someone here. Thank you so much. Very good. So we have in this other pattern. This is a very also old map because, well, originally we have the plan of the checkerboard, right? The grid pattern. But that is the plan. Not necessarily things will be like that. It started good, by the way. It started good. The closest streets or blocks to the main square of Lima are all perfectly square. But you can see also in highlighted in one side of the map, this is a map from 1615, you can see that section that is separated from a city. Do you see it? It is like a rectangle section. And if we go back also to the map, the first map I presented to you, you can see also there is something in that location, right? Well, that was the only section of the indigenous city that continued existing with its indigenous peoples living in there, okay? So the indigenous peoples of Lima were, most of them moved away because the Spanish conquistadors came, they took the land, they moved them, they evicted them, but they needed also workers. They needed also people to serve them, indigenous to serve them. So there is where they were all moved. They were pushed into that section. And that's why you see that part also existing in this map from 1615. But this is something very curious because the map you see there shows a wall, okay? And this is also another approach to that walled city time after, years after, when Lima got also a big wall around the city. There is also a whole story about the walls of Lima, why the cities in Peru started to be walled. I will be doing something about it soon, if you wish me to. So there you have, well, the old wall of Lima, and that tiny section over there, similar to the idea of the Juderias, similar to the idea of these like cities within the cities. And also for the same intentions. I've been able to read documents about, well, the Spanish cities that also had juderias or zones for the Jews inside, that one of the reasons why those sections were like concentrated, even in some cases walled and clearly separated from all the surrounding areas, is, well, number one, because, well, the Christians wanted the Jews to be under their control, of course, and there were a lot of strict rules that they couldn't, like, visit each other's after certain hours in the night, that you couldn't engage with like parties with Jews and vice versa, because there were a lot of punishments done. But also, surprisingly, these documents mention that it was for the own safety of the Jews, that they were in these walled cities or in these spaces. It was for their own safety. And it is amazing that there are colonial documents in Lima that say the same for the indigenous, that they were put like behind walls, because that section was originally walled, right? And then, well, including the city, and little by little open to the rest of the city, for the own sake and protection of the indigenous. And those doors around the city, there were 3 doors in that time to that zone that has also its own name, the Cercado de Indios. Cercado means enclosed section. Well, the Cercado de Indios had its own, like schedules that you couldn't come in at certain times, come out at certain times. Anyway, so you can clearly see the Cercado de Indios if you look to the right-hand side of this map of the historic center of Lima. This is when the general wall of the city was created. It's clearly a different pattern, right? So it's also square, like a grid pattern, checkerboard. You can see that one, and you can see also the other, like, Spanish section, clearly with the checkerboard. Well, an image of the foundation of Lima, Conquistador Francisco Pizarro. When we will be in the historic center of Lima very soon, doing the history of the foundation of Lima tour, you will be also in this exact location in the main square. Well, and we come also to the let's say the pyramid, the organigram, the stratification of Lima after the arrival of the conquistadors. Well, and how this new coexistence created here also created this new stratification that also use castes. So some groups were on top, some groups were below. The Spaniards, of course, were on top, and their children, the criollos. Criollos were the children of the Spanish born in America. So ethnically and culturally, they were Spanish, but because they were born in America, they were below the Spaniards, the peninsulares, the ones born in Spain. Well, we have also the mestizos. The mestizo are the mixed blood people, the ones who were having like this mixed ancestries, indigenous and Spanish. Initially, the word mestizo was only used to describe the children of these 2 ethnic groups. The first generation was a mestizo. But later on, well, we use it for all of us, for all mixed people. Mulattoes, also another important group, children of Europeans and Africans. Sambos, and we have, of course, below the slaves. Sambo, by the way, is the children of indigenous and Africans. We have the indigenous per se, which are below them, and the slaves, African slaves, way below them. And a case of that union, which also it's something that was brought by the Spanish, because in their tradition, there was also interracial marriages. That's also how the Jews were, in some cases, integrated into the Spanish society. They became Christians. They were conversos, and they turned into they were welcome inside the the Christian system, right? We're talking about the territories that were Christians, of course, in the Iberian Peninsula. Using the same system here in Peru, the Spanish married indigenous women. Well, the Queen of Spain, Isabella the Catholic, before passing, I think it was the year 1504, right? She left in her in her last will this idea of legitimation of the children of these unions, the mixed unions of indigenous and Spanish that were novel. Also, these novel mestizos were legitimate. This is the case of the lady you see here in this image. This beautiful girl in the center is Francisca Pizarro, the daughter, legitimate daughter of a conquistador and marquis as well. He got this title because he became also the conquistador of the Tahuantinsuyo, Francisco Pizarro, and the princess, sister of Atahualpa, the last free king of Peru. This princess, Quispe Sisa, or well, her Christian name, Inés Huaylas, because she was converted. She was also a, well, conversa, forced into the Catholic faith. And her children, because they had two, immediately were taken away from the lap of the mother and were raised by a Catholic woman very close to Francisco Pizarro and the family of Francisco Pizarro. So aren't we seeing similarities? I see lots of them. These systems were not created in Peru, were perfected in the Americas because they come from an experience of hundreds of years during the process of the reconquest of the Iberian Peninsula by Christians. They call it Reconquest, by the way. It's a very interesting name also. A lot of debates about it. But, well, we see, of course, this religious element. And we go also to the religious part. And we see here, well, one of the most curious cases, in my opinion, of the religion in the Americas and how images like saints were used for legitimizing the conquest. No? We see, for example, on the left-hand side, the image of James the Moor Slayer. Okay, in Spanish, we call this saint Santiago, who was an apostle, by the way. So the story of James Moor Slayer is very interesting. He is, I think, is the most important saint of Spain, and because he is a saint that helped the Christians to fight the Moors and defeat them. Remember that they have a very long time period of fights between Moors and Christians. You can see him here represented riding a horse, leading the troops also, and stepping over let's say the Moorish, no, the Moors, no. So what is very interesting is that, well, this, of course, story. Many historians don't know exactly if it happened or no. There was the Battle of Clavijo in the year 1844. But this story of the Moor Slayer was brought into the Americas. And James in the Americas was transformed into James the Indian Slayer. Because in the Americas, there are also, in Peru in particular, there are stories of, well, James reappearing in the Americas and conducting the indigenous, the Spanish, against the indigenous, right? And killing them all, right? So these ideas continue existing and were moved, and they were used to make legitimate the conquest. The Inquisition is another very important topic, because the Inquisition was also imported, was also brought by the Spanish. The Inquisition in the Americas has also very old history. The Inquisition of Mexico and the Inquisition of Lima city were born at the same time. In the year 1569 is when it was created in Spain, the Inquisition, and a year after, in 1570, the physical buildings of the Inquisition were placed here in these two cities. There was also one third Inquisition, the Inquisition of Cartagena de Indias in Colombia, from, so far remember, 1610. The autos de fe, the acts of faith, which this one here is a representation of how the acts of faith happened in the big cities in Spain, like Madrid, for example, which were ceremonies in which the accused judaizantes or marranos, no, that's another word very, very important, connected with the Jewish secret communities of Spain. The marranos, the false conversos, or crypto Jews. We also use now the word crypto Jews, Jews in secret. This is how they were killed in public, right? In the acts of faith. Well, this image is not from Spain. It's not from a city in Spain. This is a painting of Lima's main square. And we see here also the same act of faith, the same acto de fe or auto de fe, this is the name of the ceremony, style, this procession of these accused false conversos, crypto Jews, into the square, and then later their execution. I have a tour about the Jewish history of Lima. Let me know if you would like me to tell you also this story. This is a fantastic story because all is really done about like investigation. There's not really like buildings that say this was the synagogue and with a sign, or this is where the Jewish families live. No, because the coexistence in Spain, the example of the coexistence in Spain that lasted also for many years. I mean, people of a religion in this location, in this part of the city, and people of another religion, the Moors, the Jews, like in certain zones, and all living together in a sort of like a good ambience, of course, with differences, of course, but in a good ambience, good commercial ambience. It came to an end with the reconquest of Granada, and with this new idea that, well, there was one kingdom and one faith. One kingdom, the Spanish kingdom, and one faith, it was the Catholic faith, Christianity. And that's what the Spanish brought here, but they couldn't keep up with that because there were also indigenous who continue practicing their religions, and they converted. This is how, by the way, the conversos were dressed in these ceremonies when they were taken out into the processions. They were taken out for, let's say, being exposed, marked with this, let's say, like a clothing that had a twisted cross, that had a big symbolism, and also these conic shape hats, and then later were killed in the square. This is, by the way, the Inquisition building nowadays is a museum, is in process of restoration. And the day it will be open, I promise I'll do something about it, take you virtually, or definitely it will be a celebration, because we should not forget about these terrible crimes and the peoples who were killed by the Inquisition in Lima. But talking about the conversos, the Peruvian conversos into the faith, there are also very interesting cases. Because in Spain, there were conversos who had to convert, because if not, you were expelled. If not, you were not allowed to sell anything. You could be killed also in pogroms. So in Peru, it was used also the same system of oppression and control. And indeed, many people converted by faith. I'm not saying that Peruvians, indigenous from that time, indigenous Peruvians of that time didn't embrace the faith of Christianity. But there were people who did it, from the door of their house out for the public, but in their houses, they continue practicing their faith. There are also lots of interesting documents about that, and we have to talk about the extirpation of idolatries. So Inquisition came to Peru, yes, but the Inquisition also in its construction, they were, specialized in persecuting Jews that were like, Christians, but they were in private practicing the Jewish tradition. So they were not really persecuting Jews because Jews were not allowed in Peru. Jews were not allowed in Peru. Anyone that was not Christian couldn't come to Peru. So I want to make it very clear. The Inquisition persecuted judaizantes is how we call them, or people who practice the Jewish faith in secret. But it was needed to create a specific system to chase the indigenous, because the indigenous had certain level of protection. So this system copied the Inquisition, but it was named differently. So this group, this system, this institution was called the extirpation of idolatries. And there were extirpators, of course, extirpadores. For example, Francisco de Ávila is one of the most famous ones, who visited towns in the Andes section, also in the coast. We're talking about the period of the beginnings of the 17th century, the 1600s, in a time when, in theory, everybody should have been already very Catholic, because we are almost like 70, 80 years after the coming of the conquistadors. And well, he discovers that there are people that still are worshiping the sun, worshiping the moon, doing sacrifices of animals, right? So there is a persecution that is very, very intense, okay? Okay, so let's see this one here. Just give me a second. Someone, okay. Oh, I would like also to check if there is any questions. Sorry if I am taking long for answering questions, but I'm getting so excited with this explanations. So Jewish history in Lima, yes. Oh, I'm so happy, Marilyn, you're in for it. Gracias. So, and yes, that's right, Ashraf. We have a lot of history also of Moors and Jews and their traditions coming to Lima, but most people don't know that. So I do a lot of investigation work. I love to do investigation, historic investigation, and everything I learn, I find, I share usually in my events. So just to give you an idea of what are the things, for example, Mr. Avila, Francisco de Avila was looking for was worshiping of the dead. Worshipping of wakas. A waka could be an idol, could be a stone that had a special shape, and it was considered very important by the indigenous. Mummies also. So this is the way how the mummies also look like at the time of the arrival of the conquistadors, how the Incas or the Sapa Incas, the kings, were mummified and also reverenced and protected and taken care of after their passing. Also, the Spanish were, of course, in horrorized, no, in surprise, no, of this happening, right? So, well, this is also a little bit, we're coming to the end, by the way, of this event. I hope you have some extra minutes for me. I usually say it will be 1 hour event, but it takes me a little bit longer because I prepare so much material for you all. If for any reason you cannot stay for long, I will be also posting the recording of this event in my YouTube channel, so you can see it from beginning to end. So, well, this is how the colonial architecture in Lima looked like. This could be any city in Spain, right? But inside the monasteries, the convents of Lima, we have also a very, very interesting similarity with the, especially like the Moorish architecture of Spain. So these are tiles, colorful in different colors. Blue is predominant, but also yellows and greens. These pictures, by the way, are from inside the convent of the Franciscans in Lima. Look at the colors, look at the patrons also. Isn't this absolutely beautiful? And also how Moorish colonial Lima was. So yes, we didn't have Muslims coming, but we had their style coming. The architecture of the Muslim or say Islamic cities in the Iberic Peninsula consisted in lots of decoration using patterns like geometrical patterns and also lettering. Of course, that when those temples or mosques, that's the name of the temples, or palaces, for example, were reconquered by the Christians, they didn't keep the letterings or the symbols of the religion, but they left the geometrical designs, and they left like those elements that are so beautiful. And for example, these little, let's say, pictures of tiles, these, let's say, very colorful tiles, they could be also perfectly coming from this picture, right? This is Lima, Peru, the convent of the Franciscans. But no, they are not from Lima. They are from Seville. They are from the monastery of Santa Maria de las Cuevas. So, well, it's exactly the same, at least to me, to my eyes, a person that has always been going to that convent of the Franciscans. This could be anywhere in the convent, okay? Well, we have also catacombs underneath that place, but what I want you to see is not exactly the catacombs. That is really for another event. What I want you to see is the material of construction that is there. That material of construction, this is the foundation of the church, consists in bricks and also consists in this, let's say, mortar, this mortar that has a combination of sand, stone, limestone, basically, and water, okay? So it's really interesting. So here we have this, excellent examples of the different influences we had in the architecture, especially in the coast of Peru, mud bricks, for example. We have stones in the Andes, and we have also the mortar. That's the other picture also in the upper part. And then we have the catacombs of St. Francis, okay? So, well, Lima is a city of union, of fusion, of lots of interesting, let's say, I think that relations with Europe, relations with the Iberic Peninsula. This is the main square of Lima, with so many different people of different backgrounds and ethnicities. I really hope you enjoyed today's event. I hope you found it, well, enlightening and enjoyable. And, well, it is really an absolute pleasure to have you. Let me also, I think I have a last image to share with you, which is this one here. Well, this is for my upcoming event that is going to be on Saturday, August the 10th, exploring an Incan home, but an elite home in the coast of Peru. This is from a pre-recorded event I did, well, some time ago. So if you wish to see it, it's going to be next August the 10th. It will be a pleasure to have you. Oh, and I'll stop sharing, dejar de compartir. Okay, so thank you so much for being here. And also let me know if you have any questions, anything you would like me to, I don't know, maybe to say, or maybe you would like me to maybe do next time. So please, you can comment here. Remember that this video will be available on YouTube, my YouTube channel. And I think also, well, I can also, well, give you here Adventurous Travel Guide. Okay, so this is how you can find me in my social media. Adventurous Travel Guide. You can find me on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. So I usually do lots of different events. Oh, my camera is not on, so let me try to put it on. Okay, so this is me. Thank you so much for your participation, and such a pleasure. Sorry for the little mistakes, and I'm trying to do my best with technology. I am not a very technological person. Well, imagine that. Well, I'm an official tour guide doing virtual tours, but this is the part that I am starting to learn about. So thanks for your patience. Also, well, you are welcome not just to my events on Eventbrite. Also, I'm very excited to be part of the World Virtual Tours platform. Also on Eventbrite, you will be able to find my tours. Those are coming on September. So stay tuned for the program of September there. Well, wishing you a wonderful rest of the day. Enjoy your Sunday. And also, once again, if there's any Peruvian joining also, well, happy Independence Day for us. Peruvian independence is also, I think, is really a fruit of a long process, a long process of for us of understanding who we are. Well, this is really the foundation of the history of Peru. And well, see you next time until another occasion. See you soon. Gracias, Natalie. Thank you. Gracias, amigos. Bye-bye. Ciao.